Hello. It is time to speak it. We are back for a Speak It Thursday, and I am your girl, Shulie. And tonight we are talking about sports. We know so much has been going on in the world with the pandemic. We have things that are going on in the way of social justice. And so we have just a lot to talk about. Right now, when you come in, take your virtual seat in our virtual audience here, drop your city, let us know where you're tuning in from, and we will get ready to introduce our guest shortly. And then we have Dallas in the building. We have Rosenberg, Texas in the building. So people are still coming in, they're getting their seats. Make sure you share this with your community. Tune in. We have some great guests tonight. We have Ashley McGruder. She's a trainer. She is the new CEO of Checkup Pro, a sports management agency. She's been working in the sports industry for quite some time, and she is now working to help other athletes to go to the next level. We have Chancellor Ellis, two-time SWAC champion, basketball person. He is just bubbly personality. I like to say bubbly, that's my word. But he has so much to say. He has a unique experience. He transferred from New Mexico State to Prairie View A&M University, and that's where he finished his career. He has 3 degrees, and he's out here still pushing. And then we have Cartier Martin. He is a retired professional basketball player. He went to Kansas State for undergrad, and now he is helping and mentoring other youth. They're all here in the city. So it looks like we have Louisiana in the house. We have Houston in the house. Everybody's coming in. And remember, the way you share your likes and your applause, that's your applause. That's your virtual applause. So if you like something, make sure you give us some hearts. And again, you already know, we like to keep the conversation going. I'm bringing our panelists on tonight. I should actually say conversation starters, because we're here to converse about everything that's going on as it relates to sports. So with that said, hey y'all, hey.
How y'all doing? How y'all
Hello.
What's up? What's
doing? Hello,
up?
hello.
So they're ready, they're chill, and so we'll get right into it. We're gonna get you all warmed up. You're used to basketball and sports, so we're doing this. You're vocal athletes tonight. So I'm gonna throw out a word, and I want you to say the first word that comes to your mind, and try to do that without saying All right, here we go. First up, Ashley, for you, basketball. When I say basketball, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? No ums.
Training.
Okay, good. Chancellor, level up.
Consistency.
Okay, that's a good one. Cartier, rebound.
Effort.
Okay, very good. So that's our warm up. It's brief, it's very short, but you talked about consistency, we're talking about effort, and we're talking about training. So those are all very, very good words. So, Ashley, when you said training, tell me, what's the importance in of training in basketball and just even development of players?
The importance of it, I would say, training requires hard work, and when I think it's because basketball is so skilled, it's such a skilled sport that you get better every day, with taking your time and putting your effort in to the court. And so when I say training, it just comes to my mind that it's because it's such a heavily skilled sport that you have to spend a lot of time developing your game.
Okay. And then with that, as we get ready to jump into your career quickly, tell us, when did you first fall in love with basketball?
Possibly, I want to say when I was like in the second grade. I grew up in a very large family, athletic. Everyone possibly played Division I sports, so we were very competitive, and I knew I was. When I picked the ball up, I was the best one at that sport in my household, out of the boys and girls. So I just started. It just came easy to me, and I could do it every day. And you could just walk out your house and participate in it. And so having access to it all the time, I just fell in love with that just being able to play basketball every day, all day, morning till night.
Okay. All right. Now let's jump over to Cartier. What about you? When did you first fall in love with basketball?
You said Cartier, right?
Yeah, Cartier.
Oh
Yep.
yeah. Well, I fell in love with basketball at a very young age. I would say possibly the age of 5 or 6 years old. First time I ever got a basketball in my hand. I just love to be able to dribble the ball and shoot the ball. I've been playing ever since that moment. But like Ashley said, it's just such an easy sport to be able to work on your own. I think basketball is probably the easiest sport that you could possibly train on your own. Just by having a ball, dribbling, shooting on your own. Those things just allow you to be able to elevate your game to another level. Whereas, maybe football, you might need someone to pass it to you, or, different things that you have to do. But I fell in love with basketball at a very young age. And coming out of a small town like where I grew up, Crockett, Texas, where there was not really a lot else to do. uh, Basketball just kind of drew to me, and I was the best at it as far as the kids that I was playing with at that time. So I just eventually wanted to continue to play and one day reach the highest level.
That's when you said that. So you said a lot of things, and we're going to get into so much after we do these introductions and finish with the warm up, pretty much. But one of our audience members, Aquila Johnson, said that's the only sport we had growing up in Dotson. So Dotson is a small town, like Crockett is a small town. So like you're
Right.
saying, and I know I grew up in a small town in Louisiana as well, and it was close to Dotson. It's like Winfield / Calvin, Louisiana. We didn't even have a football team. We just had
Mm.
basketball. And they tried track at one point. They had baseball, softball, but basketball, that was it. So that makes sense. And then LB Jenkins said, in a small town, sports is what brings the city together. So, all right, Chancellor. Do you go by, would you prefer Chancellor or Chance? What are we calling you tonight?
Either or, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Looks like your screen is frozen there. I'm not sure. There it is. Okay. All right. So what's your basketball love story?
I have to say it started back when I was probably 4 or 5. The movie Space Jam came out, and my father caught me coming around the couch when they was doing the introductions and saying Michael Jordan, and I thought I was Michael Jordan. So
Got
I
it.
think that's pretty much what did it for me.
Yeah. Game over. So you wanted to be like Mike.
A
And
little
then
bit. Yeah.
and then here you all are at different phases of your career. So let's talk about taking it to the next level. So you all fell in love with basketball at an early age for different reasons, but maybe basketball found you, you found it, whatever, you fell in love, and it looks like all of y'all are still in love with it. So talk about your career in sports, and whoever wants to go first can jump right in. So when did you know you could and wanted to take it to the next level?
All right, I'll go first. For me, actually, basketball to me, I didn't quite know I was that good until I got into the high school level. I knew I was good at, I could play the game and that I loved the game, but it wasn't until I got to high school and getting a chance to uh, play as a freshman on the varsity basketball team when I really noticed, man, I might be one of the elite kids here. I mean, I'm the only guy that's pulled up from my freshman class to be on the varsity team. It really brought a lot of confidence to me as a person and a player at the time. I felt like, you know, being able to play with these older guys and not playing with my age group really set me put me on a higher level. And at that moment, once I was able to start with that varsity team, I immediately knew that I wanted to play at the next level. So
Okay.
I figured that I would work as hard as I could to possibly do that, and eventually try to work to get to college.
And how did you end up at Kansas State?
I was recruited out of high school to go to Kansas State. I was recruited by multiple schools. I had numerous amounts of scholarships offered to me. I narrowed my list down to five schools, with Kansas State being one, Texas being one, Oklahoma State being one, Oklahoma, mostly Big 12 schools, and then but my last school was a SEC school, was actually my dream school, but I didn't end up going just because I felt like Kansas State was a better option for me, but it was Kentucky. I went on a
Okay.
visit to Kentucky, and that growing up for me, Kentucky, like I said, well, I grew up in Crockett, so for me, we didn't have cable television. So on Saturdays and Sundays, we would look forward to CBS and ABC, and those college games would come on, and I would be glued to the television, right? And on Sundays, Kentucky would play on those Sundays. For some reason, I don't know what it was, but Kentucky would always play on Sundays. And when I got a chance to see Tubby Smith and those guys come out, perform, it just brought some excitement to me, and I really wanted to be a part of that program one day. But when I got a little older and got into to high school and started to make my decision, I based it off of the best situation for me, and where I felt like I could be, I could improve my game, where I could be valuable to my team, and that could possibly help me get to the next level.
Okay. So I'm going to try to stick a pin in visibility, because as we get into conversation down the line about HBCUs and everything that's going on right now. All right. So let's go with Chancellor over here. I'm going to unmute your mic. I had to mute the mics for you guys just in case I was hearing background noise, so I'm not sure where it was coming from. All right. So, Mr. Ellis, how did you know? Because your journey, pretty much, you're young in the game, right? Because you started out in
Very.
Mexico,
Mm.
you ended up in Texas. Tell us about that.
My
And then
journey
there's
was
something going
very
on.
unique. I said,
Mhm.
can you hear me?
I'm hearing some
I
interference.
said I don't know what's going on, but I said my journey was really unique. Like it started off like I tell people every day I was an early blossom person. Like I had success early from middle school and early in high school, and sometimes you blossom too early, and that was kind of like me. So when I ended up at New Mexico State, we had a great year. Uh, to this day, I think it was the best year of college for me personally, talent wise and everything. And when I left, I was transitioning because I wanted to go back home. And then I ran into Coach Bussey at Prairie View A&M. I took the visit, and I tell the people the story all the time. Like I went on campus and I said, "Nah, I'm not going to come." Went home, told my mother, told my father, and it was that Hofstra or St. John's, and my dad was like, "You're not staying home." So I had no choice. So I packed my bags and went back out there the next week. And it was honestly the best decision I ever made. Like at the HBCU, the campus is probably the best campus out of them all. It's not even close. And the community at PV is really like a big family because it's so small, but it has a lot of school spirit as well.
Okay. So what made you kind of say, nah, I'm good on PV when you first visited?
it was like my first time being in that environment. So it was like, okay, I'm coming from a state school. A state school, like that's the only show in town, and it's a big school. Like you come to PV, everybody knows each other. And when I got on campus, I really only saw like the football stadium, the baby dome a little bit. I didn't really see too much. Like I was only here for maybe like 4 hours, 5 hours. So I was like, all right,
Okay.
like the other visits, I'm there for like a day or so. They showing me a lot of everything where I'm staying and all that. PV, it was so quick. I just was like, nah, I don't think it's for me. And I never heard of Prairie View until I got to Prairie View. They said it was in Houston, but it's not. So I had to figure all that out myself. So
Okay. So yeah, but you made it, and you said it was the best decision you made. And hey, HBCU love. Shout out to Prairie View A&M University. I went to Grambling State University for undergrad, so I'm Graham fam at heart. I went to University of Memphis for grad school, and like you said, they're known for their basketball program, but I don't even talk about it like I talk about my Grambling experience. It was just like it's a different vibe. Okay, Ashley, I'm gonna unmute you, Chancellor. I'm not sure. There you go. All right, Ashley. So you're here representing for the ladies in the sports
Yeah.
industry. We
Yeah.
thank you for coming on and doing that. So talk about you. I know you said you didn't go to an HBCU, but you ended up doing some work over at PV and fell in
Yeah.
love. So
I did. So I went to Texas State, and so kind of like Chance, I played there, and then after that went to coach at Prairie View with Cynthia Cooper, and so it was a wonderful experience. Like he said, it was, I got my master's there. It's just like a family environment. It was like I talk more about that experience um, more than Texas State, but I enjoyed both of them. But definitely, it was something new for me. But it was a wonderful experience that I had. So my experience coming out of high school, coming out from where I'm from Palestine, Texas. So small town, right close by where Cartier's from. So we probably were rivalries coming up. And so I had a different experience because exposure, right? Lack of exposure and lack of just basket. We're in a football country, right? Like this is
mhm.
country of football, so you really have to make your way and make someone come see you, right? And prove to a point, even to get people to open their eyes to basketball, especially where I'm from. So it was one of those. That was my recruiting experience, right? So just not really in tune with the process of what it took to be
Mm.
highly recruited, and but I had the stats, so there was more to it, other than that. So once we figured that I didn't play at AU, but one summer, which was enough to get the looks I needed, but I just didn't understand. We didn't understand the process, right? But um, building off of that, went on to be, started to coaching. Um, came out of college, knew exactly what I wanted to do. So I just started in my field. My brother played basketball, and so I started being involved with his team, and I immediately started coaching high school, one of the top prep teams in the nation, Christian Life Center Academy, and we had a lot of players. So I was hands-on early in the stage of my coaching career and just put in the fire, and very successful in that. And just God just kept sending me, to my next avenue, my next role, and I just moved from there and utilized my gift. So it just started making way for me, right? So I went to Prairie View, coached there for 2 years. We had a very successful program there, and from that point on, it has just been basketball has been um, leading me right into other avenues as I transition.
Okay. I hear that words are dropping over there. Your gifts will make room for you.
Yeah.
And look, somebody's talking trash in the audience. This is my partner in conversation, LB. He's not with us
Yeah,
tonight, but I'm
that's a
showing him
drama.
love. He had a you should have come to Gremlin. LOL. He said Graham fam. He had a loss in his family. So sending you love, dedicating this show to you and your aunt LB. See you when you get back. But yeah, so let's talk about that. We'll talk Cartier like in the initial chat that we had. You had some thoughts about HBCUs. You said you went to Kansas, but
Kansas
I mean,
State,
any
Kansas State.
regrets?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kansas State. You like get it right. Kansas State. You went to Kansas State.
Yeah. We rivals, so it's I still
You're
carry
like,
that rivalry, man, to this day. So I mean, we got to make sure we nah.
you're like get it right. So yeah, so talk about that really quickly. So you went to Kansas State. You used the word visibility and being from a small town because even over here, Aquila Johnson said, "Yep, only 3 channels in Dotson and a party line." She
Yeah.
said she had a rotary phone back in the day. So,
We
but
did.
then
We did. The dollar. Yeah, we had
Yep,
that.
exactly. And then when you see TV, it's not like, yeah, I didn't even have cable. So you waited for the games
Yeah.
to come on, it's whatever was available to you. And you're seeing those schools that got the attention. You're seeing the Kentuckys and the
Yeah.
UCLAs and all of that kind of stuff. So talk a little bit about you, like you went to Kansas State and now you're seeing these players, like I'm having to look over there, Mikey Williams, Maker, that well, Mikey Williams is class of 2023, so
Mm,
he's already out there. But Maker saying, "Hey, we're thinking about HBCUs."
yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you had it to do all over again, what do you
Yeah.
think
What
you would
what
do?
what what the biggest thing for me was coming out of Crockett. Um, I, I I I was raised in Crockett by my grandmother, and then my mother was actually living here in the Houston area, going to school and working at the time. So luckily for me, I had a chance to move from Crockett to Houston in the 8th grade, which ultimately gave me some exposure. I think that's probably what Ashley was saying. The lack of exposure in these Eastern Texas places, these small little towns, they just didn't get the exposure. And I mean, there's a lot of great talent in these towns, but just the lack of exposure didn't allow me to be noticed at a young age. We
Mm,
started playing little dribblers and stuff like that, and we would only play the other small little country towns in the area. But with markets like Houston and Dallas, San Antonio, those bigger markets, I think the coaches and stuff kind of hone into those locations more. So luckily for me, I was able to move from Crockett, not even knowing this at the time, but just a blessing. God just blessed me with opportunity to be able to move here with my mom, and I started going to school here in the 8th grade, and I got noticed from actually the high school that I was going to attend the following year by playing in the 8th grade, by playing in middle school, and so that gave me a chance to be able to be noticed. And my high school coach brought me in and told me, he really felt strong about my game, how I played while I was in middle school, and letting me know that I had a chance to play in the varsity on the varsity team as a freshman. So when I got there, it was more for me when I got on the high school level. Uh, I didn't have the guidance that would help me. My mom didn't know about basketball or the things that go with it, along with it. And
yeah.
my father lived in Crockett, Texas, so he didn't really know about the circuit and all of how those things work. So for me, it was more about the A. I got recruited to be on the AAU team after my sophomore year of high school, and I think that's what allowed me to get exposure to the college to the college platform. And at that point, I'm just kind of listening to my AAU coaches and the people who are around me at that moment, not really, knowing the information about the HBCUs or even smaller colleges but so my focus was just only on trying to get to the best school possible for me, and I not knowing the background of the HBCUs. But I think the biggest thing now for this generation and these kids that are coming in is they get a chance to be able to see lots of the media is presented to them early. The social media, they have a chance to see what's going on now, and they have a chance
Yeah.
to make a decision. They get a chance to see it up close and personal and make their own decisions, kind of on how they want to go for about their life. Far as like when I was coming in, it was more about I just kind of had to lean towards who knew something that could help me with it. So for me, I kind of based my decision off the people around me who thought that decisions would be best for me. And at
Mm-hmm.
that time, had I known, I wish I would have known a little bit earlier. I probably could have ended up at HBCU and got a chance to see some of those step shows and stuff. Man, I didn't get a chance to
Yeah.
to experience any of that. And but I definitely think that the generation now should definitely consider it with all that's going on in the world. And just to but what I will say is that I ultimately you want to make the best decision for you and what's going to help you elevate your game. But at the same time, you just want to take an account of your ethnicity and your background, and who in the long run, the generation after you, who can you help them out as well? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
um,
That's the key. I mean, there are a couple things, like you said. One, I'm sure at the forefront of most players' minds, right, would be how do I go to the next level? And then if the end game is to go to the NBA, then you're going to look at what's the best route. So
right.
I get that. So then here's this question. Do you think you would have had the same opportunities in college without sports? And that can go, Cartier, you can jump in on that. And then I want to hear from Ashley and Chance about this too. So yeah, LB
The same
Jenkins.
opportunity, the same opportunity. What do you mean?
So do you think you would have the same opportunities in college in terms of, I guess what he's saying and what I would think is that sports gave you a shot in terms of being able to choose a college outside of a
Right.
realm, like, right? So if you
I
didn't play
definitely don't
sports,
think that would have been. Yeah, I definitely don't think that without sports, I wouldn't have gotten a chance to go to Kansas State.
yeah,
I think being in the sports world what allowed me to be able to get a scholarship and be able to elevate my game and go to and further my education as well. Had it not been for sports, I think it would have been a little bit tougher for me to try to maneuver and get to the next level. Uh, I think sports definitely helped me and my family to being able to get my education and help me to grow as a person.
yeah. Okay. Chance, what about you? Do you think sports, would you have had a different experience or the level of exposure if it hadn't been for sports?
I, without sports, I probably wouldn't be here. I agree with what Cartier said. Like sports was able to help me travel the world at a young age and also help me get to college. Without sports, I don't know honestly where I would be personally. Like probably still in New York. But that's just something I live with. I'm blessed every day that I was able to play sports personally.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so we can talk about Ashley. You want to chime in on that? You're muted, so if you want to respond, if not, we'll keep going. You're good. This is me, my thumbs up. She's good. She said, I'm good. All right. So let's talk about next level. So, Cartier, your next level took you to the professional level. So, talk about that experience. So, you went to Kansas State. It just sounds like you said you got your looks. You were very blessed. So, your path took you to Kansas State. You got some looks, and talk about, yep, the next move for you.
Okay. Well, the next one for me was I ultimately once I reached that platform of getting to college, ultimately, once you get there, now the next step is you feel like you can get to the NBA, and I think that's what every college player who goes into college. I think that they all feel like, oh, if I get to college, now all I have to do is work and I can get to the next level. I mean, it's not that easy, but for me, it wasn't that easy. I ended up going to school all 4 years to Kansas State and being an undrafted player that got an opportunity later on in my career after I graduated Kansas State, I left and went overseas for my first year of basketball in a foreign country and over in Turkey. I went over to Turkey my first year, and I'll be honest with you. It was a culture shock. It
Yeah.
was definitely an adjustment, a life adjustment. Having to being an American kid, a country American kid, and grew up, and having to move to this foreign country where no one speaks your language. You've been over there. You're 8 hour time difference from the people you have here at home. So it was a really big adjustment and shock for me because I didn't have anyone to socialize with.
Mm.
The food was different, so it was a big life adjustment for me. And I think early, me being young, it was definitely a good life lesson. I didn't enjoy it because it was different at the time, and I had to make those adjustments. But I knew that I could play at a higher level when I went over there. And I went there, and while I was over there, my whole time I was there, I was thinking about how I could improve my game enough to not have to come back. I was trying to figure
Mm.
out how what could I do for this next season to possibly get into the NBA. And so after the season in Turkey, I came home that summer. I was actually offered less money to go to another foreign country for the next following season, and I almost turned quit playing basketball. So I turned the job down, and my agent he convinced me to trying out for the D League. At that time the D League, which sometimes and even now, not the pay for the D League was not good at all. I mean,
Can you give
so
us an example? Like I'm getting into business, so what? You don't have to give me
right.
a set number, but like, what are we
Well,
looking
I
at? What's
give you
that?
a set number. I give you a set
Okay.
number. So you have three contracts at that time. When I was coming into the D League, there was three standard contracts according to how many years you've been in the D League that you received. Your first year, you received I believe it was an A contract. There was an A, B, and a C contract. There was only three contracts. Your first year, it was only $10,000 to $12,000 for the entire year. And that's total that you might spend. I mean, you get your check and it's gone. I mean, you might get $500 every month or 2 weeks because they're taking out taxes and everything. So you have to take that into consideration. You have to really love the game to go to the D League at that point because it's a grind. Because you got guys there who are hungry and they're fighting, they're scratching, they're trying to do everything they can because they feel like they are right there to get to that next level. And when you go there, you're in a fight the entire time because you're in a situation to where you're not really getting that much money. The travel situations are bad, and it's just different. And so
Okay.
my agent convinced me to go over to try the D League out, just give it a shot. And I thought that it would be a good idea for me. I made a little money going over to Turkey for my first year, so I considered it going into my second year, and it paid off. I went into the D League my second year out of college, and I went over to the Iowa Energy. I played about 20 games, and I was playing well. And my first opportunity, I got a call up from the Charlotte Bobcats. The Charlotte Bobcats called me up, and my they called me. I never forget this. My first night, my first game, they I had to meet the team out in Denver. I flew out, met the team there. We get ready for the game the next day. We're playing. We're in the game, and Coach Larry Brown calls me off the bench. He calls me to come into the game with about 6 minutes into the game just starting. And so I go out, and he said, "You got Carmelo." I'm like, "Oh, Carmelo!" My first, it was crazy. You going in and you seeing all these guys on television every night, and then for your first game, you coming in, you got to go out Carmelo Anthony in his prime. It was definitely a nerve wracking situation. But fortunately for me, I got in. I knocked out my first three, and my confidence just went up from there. And
Okay.
that was my entry into the NBA. and I ended up getting a chance to play for a few more years after.
Okay, so then would you say now looking back, was it worth it to hang in there?
It was definitely worth it. I wouldn't take it back. I wouldn't take it back at all. It definitely was a great experience. I cherish my story. It wasn't. I didn't get the. I didn't have a chance to. I didn't take the easy. I didn't get the easy route. I had to work to get to the NBA. It definitely wasn't. I didn't get drafted like I said. So it was more about the heart and the passion of the game for me to get into the next level. Because I could have easily went over, continued to go overseas and just
Mm-hmm.
continue to try to make money. But I felt like I was I felt like I was a player who could play at the highest level and play with the guys with the best guys in the world. And I got an opportunity to do that.
Okay. That is a good story. That is a good story, and I feel like, yep, to the younger players coming up, especially, it seems like that would be very helpful because, like you said, I would think that young players who, like you said, they're starting out, they're playing well, and then that dream is to go to the NBA, but then there's some work that needs to happen in between in terms of
Yes.
development. So that's
Right.
good stuff. And then Chancellor over here, he's chilling. I can't tell if his screen is frozen or what's going on.
Yeah.
So talk
Mhm.
talk to us about you. So you just graduated and we're talking about next level stuff. Like how are you preparing? What do you have going on?
Well, right now with Corona and COVID going on, the draft is until October 16th, I believe. So I just work out every day. I try to work out as much as I can to get my body and my mind together. Because you never know, you can go undrafted, and if you go undrafted, you might have to go overseas, like you said. And I never been overseas like that to play, except for in high school. I played in England for a tournament, and talking to all my friends that played professionally over there, they said it's a grind mentally. Like you're over there. Some teams bring you in there for special things. Some teams bring you in and then cut you a week later. So mentally, you got to be prepared. So at this moment, I'm just taking it day by day and just trying to become a better player and also a person.
That's good stuff. And then with the five, like we had a 5 month hiatus, right? And then everything shut down in March. And like you said, trying to keep your mind right. I mean, how has that been? Like, is that a challenge? Like, what are you doing like mentally? Are you reading? Are you listening to stuff? Are you watching film? What do you do in this downtime?
Mentally, I try to stay around the people that get my mind off of basketball, which are some of my friends, some of the people I grew up with, because it eases the stress that's happening in your life at the moment. Like right now,
Hmm.
I don't have a job technically,
Hmm.
and technically I'm trying to get a job. So if I spend all hours of the day stressing over that, it's not going to change anything due to what's going on in the world at the moment. So I find other ways. Like I do watch movies. I like to ride bikes. I like to see nature. I like to take my mind off of basketball at times to relieve the stress that's happening. So
So yeah, and with COVID, like, is there, like you said, everything is going to be different. The season is just starting. They just started they're playing in the bubble right now. I'm saying that the bubble. Um, and you have to wait until October. But is there any fear? Like you said, if you go undrafted, like then you have to make some decisions really quickly. Like, tell me, like, what would be the ideal situation for you right now?
honestly, like I wouldn't mind being undrafted or drafted because I've had friends that've been undrafted and I have friends that've been lottery picks that are in the
Hmm.
NBA. And some will tell you, like one of my friends was drafted towards the end of the second round last year. And when I saw him in the summer, he said he would have rather been undrafted so he can go to a better fit, if that makes sense. So sometimes, like when you're a basketball player, you need to go to what fits you. And sometimes being drafted, that team just has your rights and it doesn't fit you. So you got drafted, but they could cut you because they have people in your position. So you rather have just been undrafted so you could just go to that team. So I mean, I look at it as both sides. Like being undrafted, I'm all for it. Being drafted, I'm all for it. You gotta look at the positives on each side.
Okay. And then with you going to Prairie View and making that switch, is there anything, even in the back of your mind, that makes you feel like you got less looks? Because I'm wondering how players feel about that. If you feel like I've gone to this HBCU, does that impact your looks? Because I know that word is important in the basketball world.
About the HBCU grind is like our non-conference is bigger than what people think, because our non-conference, you're playing all the bigger schools, so that film helps you a lot, and people don't get that until probably after the season. And then me, I played 3 years at Division I basketball. This year we would have finished the season. I would have went to the NCAA tournament for 3 straight years. So I've been in 2 NCAA tournaments, and I performed, I'll say, pretty decent. I scored in double figures in both of my games. So I use that as a level of, okay, like if I could perform on this level in the tournament, if it was against Baylor my sophomore year or Fairleigh Dickinson last year, where am I at against the rest of the guys that are getting some of the pub that are being seen more? So I use that as measuring sticks as well. But I feel like when you go to HBCU, your non-conference schedule is basically playing all high majors. So if you can compete at a high level and your game can show during that, you'll be fine.
Okay. So you sound very positive. We have somebody from Mesquite tuning in. Hey, Mesquite. And hey, everybody for tuning in. Thank you all. And then also, if you're tuning in on HOH 77.7, thank you for tuning in and checking us out. We're talking sports talk over here. We have a lot going on in the sports industry. So at first, I only wanted to talk about HBCUs, but then we have the pandemic going on. So I just want to check in to see how you all are feeling. And with that said, Ashley, so with you training and then with your business, how are you helping players prepare and navigate these, we'll say, unprecedented times? Because that's what the news is saying. We're in unprecedented times. It's so different. So what's your role? Oh, hold on. Let's unmute you.
Okay.
Okay.
Definitely unprecedented times, and the times right now are different. And I think it's, my role right now is management of people, right? And some of the things Chancellor just discussed, what he's actually able to incorporate into himself each day is to be more than basketball right now, right? And to find other avenues to create, create your life for yourself. And those are some of that's what I'm here for, right? To help you and guide you and use resources to build you beyond basketball, right? And give you tools, but also within that world to just bring things, to develop a program where you're able to stay in contact in the right motion of what you're doing. So if you need a space to play or work out, high quality treatment, therapy, strength and conditioning, those type of things, we're able to provide the resources for you to allow you to not just wonder if you're in the right space, right? Hey, just keeping you in contact with where you're going, but also providing help, and guidance as far as lifestyle coaching and spiritual coaching for you to maintain the right spirit and throughout this, because a lot has changed and it has affected a lot of people, their careers and their lifestyle. And if you've been someone, like we all said, have grown up with a basketball in your hand since 5 years old, can you imagine if the world of sports and basketball is now only in a bubble, being played in a bubble? And and you're at your pivotal point right now. Like, Chance, I just graduated. I've been waiting for this moment all my life. And then you're saying, boom, there may not be basketball ever or right now, So being mindful of that, of the people in this position, not just basketball in all careers too, but being mindful of everyone in that position and helping to transition and also, and that means, like we say, actively being able to participate and use your gift in more platforms, in more areas. So how do we find that for you? How do we help you find that? So we have a support team that build and put that together and just keep going on the journey with you, right? And that's where my role is right now, because we're not going back. There is no back. There is no, this is it, right? So, it's being creative in this moment, right? Which is a good thing. It's not that things are over. It's just we're actually going to be pioneers of the new world, of the new way of things, right? Happening. So we just have to, like Chan say, find other ways as well, you know, to take our mind and but not stop and not quit and not think my world is over. That world may be over, but we have to create the new one and the new world and the new standards for ourselves on how we are going to approach things. So with that being said, that's a part of the service, right? Management, managing that, making sure you have the right resources, mindfully, spiritually, and physically, like he said, keeping his body in shape, things like that. Am I in the right place? Am I doing the right things? That would this be what a pro does, right? Would a pro be preparing themselves like this? And not saying and not allowing you to believe that it's all for nothing. Ultimately, period. Doing being in a being obedient to hard work and things like that. That's what sports give us. It will never go. You know, it you can take it to every platform and be successful.
So, and that's good. It sounds like you are providing a much needed service. And I'm wondering how much how much do the the college coaching staff, professional coaching staff, how well do you think they prepare you all for life beyond? We'll
Um,
jump in. Chance, we'll say
no.
either one,
All
anybody.
right. That's a good question. I'll say they do a decent job. Like
Yeah.
most of the time when you're dealing with coaches, they're in the moment because it's their job. That's how they feed their family. So at the end of the day, like we're trying to help us as a career, but we're trying to help them too. Like this year is the prime example. Like everybody at Prairie View, we got people that stayed, but like 3 of our staff members have moved on and got better opportunities. So like
Mm.
when we all decided to come back this year, because I was gonna leave and grad transfer and go somewhere else, but when I decided to come back, the first thing my assistant coach told me was like, help us like we're helping you. Like we don't want to be assistant our whole life. We want to be head coaches too. So the more you win, the more you give them a better opportunity. So sometimes I say coaches like they teach you how to be a man because basketball is really life. The effort you put in that and something you love will be the same effort you put in off the court. So they
Mm-hmm.
remind you that daily, but at the same time, it's a business. So they might promise you a lot of things, and it might not really be what it is, and you got to take that and roll with it. So it
Yep.
teaches you about life, but you also got to understand like this is how they feed their family as well.
So that brings me, okay, real quick though. And I don't know if this would be, so I don't know. So the hot topic, right, with the NCAA rules and paying players and all of that. So then that comes into play too. It's almost like you help the coaches out. And I'm saying that because I'm like, I don't want to be messy boots about it, but I'm just saying it's a $12 billion a year industry. Players are not getting paid. And um, and then you have the G League that's popping up, right? So how do you like what is the future with all of this in mind, all the things that's happening, COVID, whatever? What do y'all think the future of sports is gonna be like? Because we are looking for it's the new normal. We're not going back. So what does that look
But
like? Who has the
I
power
mean,
in the
I could say
future?
it looks the players have the power because people don't understand. Like one of the top rated kids went to Howard. That's great. But what separates a HBCU from a high major is really the money. When you go to a bigger school, like I did, I went to New Mexico State. You'll get a stipend per month. You go
Mm,
to HBCU, the money you was getting per month, you're getting per semester. So I'll be at New Mexico State. I'll get, let's say, a random number, 1,000 or 1,200 a month. That's for rent and food or whatever. I come to HBCU, I'm getting that per semester, and they tell you that before you come. They say, "Oh, we keep that because we don't want y'all to use it for other things." And it's like that stops a lot of players from going because when you play at a higher level, they take care of you differently because their budget's differently. And a lot
Yeah.
of players like that. They like having certain things, and I realized that by seeing both ends of it. Like when I first got here, I said, "Oh, we get paid every month, right?" No, we don't. It's every semester, and that was a big adjustment for me because you're counting on that money being there as a player to survive. Like there's so many nights like we'll be in practice, we get out, we got 2 minutes to get to the calf, and then you get to the calf, it's all leftover and it's nothing to eat. So now you scrambling to get money. We don't have jobs, so then they wonder why. Oh, like what you gonna do for food? Like like people don't think like that, and it's crazy because like a coach don't care when y'all eat. They don't. They're in there to make sure we get better. And if they anything, they'll place them little orders from the calf, and they'll come, and you'll get your little to-go meals. And we're like, we're not gonna eat this. So that money that higher schools get, they got their own chefs at certain schools. They got their own meal programs. HBCUs don't have that budget, so it hurts players that want to go there. Now with everything going around, a lot of players are saying, forget that. They're gonna go anyways, which I like. But I don't think they're understanding what comes with that at all.
All right. And that was one of the things that I had a conversation with somebody about too. Somebody was telling me about kids going to HBCUs rather than one of these other bigger profile universities, and they were saying well, that say for instance someone gets hurt, that surgery that you get from a HBCU, it may not be the same as you get from a Kentucky. You want to be able to make sure that if you get hurt or anything, that you're going to be well taken care of. So that budget goes into play with that. Being able to have, the top of the line things has an effect on the players making a decision on where they're gonna be involved, what school they're gonna be involved with.
Yeah. So then if more players, so back in the 80s, like I was watching this, what's his name? Gregory Moore. He is the commissioner of I have to read it, SIAC, so the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. And he was saying that LSU, like football wise, LSU now is what Grambling was back in the 80s in terms of sending players to the pros and whatever. And he talks about integration and how that hurt HBCU programs, because before that's what we had, that's where we could go to, but now that talent is going to those large universities, so they're getting the money and all of that kind of stuff. And so if the players shift it, do you think that dynamic will shift? Then they will have the resources and the funds.
I definitely think that it will. I mean, I think that if players attend these schools, these HBCU schools, and they begin to play well, and they become a nationally ranked school team. Now they're gonna have a lot of notoriety, and a lot of people are gonna want to watch them. That brings in the television money. That brings in a lot more access to be able to see them. And I think that at that point, their budget probably will go up. Depending on how well they do.
Yeah,
I agree. To piggyback, like so, the kid Maker went to, I want to say Howard. Howard was 4-26 last year, so he can go to Howard for probably 7 months, and let's say he wins them 10 to 12 games, and they don't have a good season, but he's in the NBA. He really didn't do much for the program, but he brought in more people coming to the games. It's not going to change their budget as much as you think unless you win. Now, if he gets them to the NCAA tournament,
hold on, Chance.
Have him say that over.
Yeah, so go again. You said, so if they get into the tournament, you went out for a second.
Okay, so when they get into the NCAA tournament, that helps their budget. Like for us, we was able to get a new locker room and a new gym because we made the NCAA tournament. Without making the NCAA tournament, it's hard for your school to bring in the money and the funds to change it. So he might be going to Howard. Mikey Williams might be going to Alabama State, but they're going for 6 or 7 months in their mind, maybe 2 years. But if they don't win, the only impact they're going to have is really on the student body, which is bringing more people into the games, not really the program, if that makes sense.
So does it fix it?
That's the $1 million question. A little bit, because it's going to bring more people that's a highly ranked one to go there, but they have to win to fix it.
So that means you
I,
need more
I, I think
talent. You need more
I think I
one.
think in the long run, because eventually what he's saying is, I think what I feel like he's saying is that, by this kid attending this school and then getting the opportunity to go to the NBA, it'll bring more kids wanting to be maybe involved with the school. So later down the road, they might have a winning program. To now, they're able to get into the NCAA tournament because now they have a higher talent level, and they have a high capability of getting into that tournament, which ultimately
Hmm.
that's where the money comes in.
Right.
So then it makes them a pipeline. They're seen as a pipeline where some of these other schools, really, that's the appeal, right? They're like a UCLA or whatever, like you said, Kansas State, Kentucky, like all of those schools are seen as pipelines because they've gone to the tournament, they won, like, and the
Yeah.
looks.
Their budget is totally different. They fight for a national championship every year. So
Yeah.
like when you're fighting for like TV time, national, it's hard to compete with that. Like they're able to upgrade their campus and facilities all year round.
That's rough. So, Cartier, real quick. So you're partnering or you're doing some work with the Rashard Lewis Academy. And tell me, what is that like? Are you doing some coaching over there, mentoring?
Yeah, so we're I'm working with Coach Ken Gamble, and I've recently retired. I recently retired, maybe for now 2 years. I've been retired, and
Okay.
kind of just sitting around and kind of trying to find my way. I felt like at this time right now would be very, very useful and valuable to being able to give my experience back and help these younger kids who are in these situations that need guidance and mentoring to help them get to the next level and to figure out when they get to that next level what to expect. And so I think that I've been trying to help mentor with these kids and give back and also get into some coaching because I think that's the transition that I want to make, and that's where I am now. Yeah, I'm just trying to get into some
Okay.
coaching. And
Okay. That's good. So I'm asking that to say, so then do you start having those conversations with those players at that age about their college choices and like how influential are the AAU coaches and those mentors at this level? Because AAU is big. Like I had no idea how huge
It's
it
huge.
was.
yeah, I mean, AU is the. I mean, today's society, AAU is the way to get exposure. I mean,
Mhm.
it used to be, you play for AAU and then you go to your high school team and then you still get exposure from your high school team. But now it's almost entirely about the AAU team and circuit that you play on that you get the exposure. So I think the AAU coaches have and the people who surround those kids definitely have a big influence on them and helping them tune their games and help them to develop their games and going forward. Uh, my thing right now is just like I said, it's to help mentor these guys and talk with these guys and help them and just let them know about life lessons that I've had to go through so that they eventually may not have to make those choices or to help them in a decision that they may have to make in the future.
That's good stuff. What do you have to say, Ashley? As we get ready to get out of here, there's always something to talk about, but I think we addressed it. We talked about a little bit about what's going on. So as we get ready to close out, what do you have to say? How do you influence the future of sport? Did you hear me?
Okay, could you say that again?
Yeah. So I was saying, what's your opinion, real quick, on influencing the future of sports? Cartier is giving back. Chance, I'm seeing you as the future right now too. You're at that level where you're having to make a decision. And Ashley, you're here, you're doing the training. So what do you have to say?
Influencing the future will be integrating, like for me, it will be integrating all my experiences and utilizing that and creating, a platform of resources for all different, I guess we want to say, situations, like Cartier said, different situations that people are in, and being able to provide guidance, right, and support and a team that can help. And so when I say that, mine is more on the developing of the whole person, right? And that way we don't get in a situation where we feel less than or empty or or it's over if sport is ending, right? That we're also more than that. We have more gifts in us to give. We just use sports as a vehicle to be able to share. And so I think taking that and using that as an influencing others to dig a little deeper, and and that's where I'm going with it.
Okay. And I think that is, like you said, shaping. When you shape the whole person, you shape the future, and then they see themselves as bigger than basketball. And then when you get out, you're like, Cartier, you're like, okay, my next level is this. I'm good. Bam, I'm moving and I'm shifting. So tell us, where can they find you, Ashley?
So I
Your
have
social.
a social media, IG Checkup Pro, and I have an email. You can email at info@checkuppro.org. And so from there, just connect with me and I'm able to share, reach out and, let's collaborate and get you your anything that you need. I'm, um, I'm able to I'm able to provide anything through the email right now, and then I'm working progress on all the other contacts.
Well, for sure, congratulations to you, because I know Ashley from behind the scenes through the Rashard Lewis Academy. I did some work with them and we hit it off immediately, and great conversations. She does great work, great heart. And Cartier, so like you said, you just connected with them, but Coach Ken introduced me to you. So how can they find you besides at the gym?
Well, hey, you guys can contact me on my Instagram page at yayo20. Also, if you get in touch with Ashley, she can get you. She can get you over to me. Me and Ashley pretty well connected. She actually helps me do my training. I still train and I still work out to make sure I'm fit and healthy. So Ashley does a great job with helping me improve my body and help me stay in shape and making sure that I'm still fine tuned and able to still play the game that I love, even though I'm retired. But you can. I have an email as well. Yay2020 at gmail.com. You can email me at any time. I have a Facebook page, Cartier Martin. Just research, look it up. Got any questions? Follow me. Send me
Yeah.
DMs.
Watch those
I'm available.
DMs, ladies. But yeah, so you're out here mentoring and helping the people. So if you have a child or a young player who has some questions about going to the next level, you can reach out to any of them. And then Chance, how can they find you?
On Twitter, you can find me at No Chance No Way. Instagram is my full name, Chancellor Ellis. And you can DM me, ask me questions. I'm in Houston. I work out with Ashley and Cartier too. So I'm with them too. So if you want to reach me through them, you can as well.
Hmm.
That's really it. Like, just trying to be better every day.
That's it. All right. Well, any final words for the people out there looking forward to sports?
Yes.
Any last? Yeah. What we got?
Um,
Nobody?
My
Follow your
last word
dream.
is I'm happy that this 31st is about to come around so I can see the NBA games. So excitement.
Yep.
That
Me,
would be my word. Excitement.
I'm just say follow your dreams, and honestly, like, it's a marathon, not a race. Like, you're gonna get knocked down. You might not end up where you want to go, but make the best out of your situation.
Facts.
Okay.
I agree.
That
I agree.
sounds good. That sounds good. And then stay safe. I guess they're in the bubble. They're staying safe. So we need to stay safe
Yep.
out here, out here in these COVID streets. Ashley, I
Yep.
don't know what happened. She dropped off. I thank you all for tuning in to just have a brief conversation. We try to keep it short and sweet and give nuggets, but I thank you for coming on and sharing your experience. Speak it, from the West African term ashe, means the power to speak a thing into existence. We have the power to change things with our words. So you guys said something, the stories can influence somebody else. And take this information, share the podcast, the live cast with other people, especially aspiring athletes. I like to share the stories and talk about it from a different angle, because of course I don't know stats because I'm not a sports person like that, but I do know people, and I believe in the power of a story. And I thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. And until next week, go out and speak it.
Thank you for having me.